Hare Krishna, welcome everyone. Good to see you all. Tonight we will continue with our study of the Nectar of Devotion, the Bhakti-rasmrta-sindhu. And tonight we're covering chapter 18 of the Nectar of Devotion. The chapter is entitled The Character of Ecstatic Love. So this is in pursuance of our Bhakti Shastri degree. And we're almost finished this book. Next week we'll do chapter 19, which will be the final chapter for this for our study of Nectar of Devotion. And then the week after, I will do a summary class, an overview class of the entire 19 chapters which we covered. And then after that, we'll have our exam on the Nectar of Devotion. So if you have any questions or comments as we go, please ask. So chapter 18 continues Srila Rupa Goswami's description of Bhava Bhakti. So as we mentioned previously, Bhava Bhakti is the sajja of our sadhana. Sadhana refers to the practice of devotional service, everything that we do in our devotional life. Chanting our rounds, studying the Bhagavatam, associating with the devotees, worshipping the deities, visiting the holy dhams. All of these activities, they are the sadhana practice, the practice of devotional service that we engage in with the goal of attaining sajja. Sajja means perfection. So we're aiming to become perfect in our devotional service. Being perfect in our devotional service means we reach the platform of Bhava Bhakti. Bhava means sentiment or a feeling in a particular relationship with Krishna, which is in one of the 5 major rasas. So that is perfection for us. Perfection for us is to understand our relationship with Krishna in one of these 5 primary rasas. So this is what we're aiming for, is Bhava Bhakti, and that's what is being spoken about now in these chapters, chapters 17 and 18. The symptoms of Bhava. One characteristic of Bhava is Chitta Mashrinya, a soft heart that is sensitive to Krishna conscious emotions. Various emotional reactions such as crying, shivering, faltering of the voice, etc., symptomize such a soft disposition. So the heart melts when one attains Bhava Bhakti, when one attains intense sentiments or intense emotions in a particular rasa towards Krishna. And when one's emotions become heightened, it melts the heart, and the heart becomes soft like butter or like honey. It becomes very, very soft. And because of when someone has a soft heart, or when someone's emotions are very deep within their heart, then automatically they will become emotional very quickly. So when someone is an emotional person, or when someone has very deep emotions or very deep feelings for another person, tears will naturally come to the eyes. So that is a characteristic of emotion or bhava. So when tears come to our eyes, in our service to Krishna, in our feelings towards Krishna, this is wanted. when these feelings come, these feelings of deep ecstatic emotions. So in Bhava Bhakti, we feel like that. Right? We feel like these deep emotions come, and then tears come to the eyes, and one's heart melts, and one feels very soft. So this kind of emotion is what we are searching for. And when one becomes very advanced, further emotions, ashtika bhavas, they come, such as faltering of the voice and quivering and standing of the hairs on end. All of these ecstatic emotions, they manifest. Any actor or actress can imitate tears and shivering. The ability to cry or shiver does not mean such persons have attained Bhava Bhakti. Furthermore, sometimes a devotee who really does possess bhava may purposely conceal these emotional symptoms, and thus his or her bhava remains undetected. External symptoms are not sufficient evidence to ascertain that a devotee has achieved Bhava Bhakti. So we have to find out, or we have to understand, because in India, and possibly even in the West, we find there are many charlatans, or many people who they appear to have emotions or bhava towards Krishna, but it may be false. So we have to understand what are the actual symptoms of one who has bhava, because it's not just the sentiment, it's not just the crying and the emotional and the external displays of emotion towards Krishna. But there are 9 symptoms of Bhava Bhakti, which will be listed in this chapter, which these 9 symptoms which are listed in this chapter, they display to someone the actual level of Bhava Bhakti. So you can't have the emotions and the tears and everything if you don't have these 9 symptoms. Then it's not Bhava Bhakti. And if one has these 9 symptoms, automatically the external symptoms, such as crying and so forth, they will manifest. So we have to understand. So Rupa Goswami is making it very scientific. That's why the Nectar of Devotion is called the complete science of Bhakti-yoga. It's a scientific study. In other words, it's not something that is superficial, but rather we have to understand it scientifically, categorically, systematically. We have to study this philosophy to understand everything properly. So Rupa Goswami gives these 9 symptoms so that we can understand what is Bhava Bhakti, so that we do not become confused, so that we do not become deceived by people who are imitating these ecstatic symptoms of love of Godhead. In Srimad Bhagavatam 2.3.24, Srila Prabhupada explains, Raghunath Chakravarti Thakur has very critically discussed all these bhava displays in connection with some unscrupulous neophytes, imitating the above symptoms for cheap appreciation. Not only Vishwanath Chakravarti, but also Srila Rupa Goswami treated them very critically. Sometimes all the above 8 symptoms of ecstasy are imitated by mundane devotees. Therefore, real steady bhava is definitely displayed in the matter of cessation of material desires, shanti, utilization of every moment in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, and avyarta kalatvam, eagerness to glorify the Lord constantly, nama ganes ruchi, attraction for living in the land of the Lord, pritish tad vasati stale, complete detachment from material happiness, virakti, and pridelessness, mana, shunyata. For one who has developed all these transcendental qualities, is really possessed of the bhava stage, as distinguished from the imitator or mundane devotee. So, once again, we need to understand what these advanced symptoms are so that we do not become deceived. Now, Rupa Goswami is about to give these 9 reliable symptoms of one who has bhava bhakti, one who's a very advanced devotee. Someone who has bhava. Bhava is known as prem ankur. Prem ankur means bhava bhakti is the precursor or the seed form of prema bhakti, love of Godhead, which is the ultimate perfection. Now, prema bhakti is rarely attained, and for someone who has prema bhakti like Srila Prabhupada, we can witness, for example, someone like Prabhupada, he had all of these 9 symptoms. So therefore we can understand this person actually had attained bhava, or actually had attained prema bhakti. So Srila Rupa Goswami gives a list of 9 character traits possessed by a genuine bhava bhakta. A person can neither imitate nor conceal these 9 symptoms, and thus they are excellent standards for ascertaining achievement of bhava. So, only someone on the platform of bhava bhakti would have these symptoms fully manifest. So we'll go through the 9. So these are very important to understand, and we see in the character of advanced devotees, they have these 9 symptoms. First of all, avyarta kala tvam, utilization of time. This refers to constant engagement in devotional service 24 hours a day. So Prabhupada famously would say, don't waste time. Do not waste time. We see that someone who is not advanced in Krishna consciousness, they waste time. They're not fully engaged in Krishna's service. Ahoitiki apratihata. Apratihata means uninterrupted devotional service. Someone who's very advanced in Krishna consciousness is not interrupted in his bhakti, in his devotional service. He just continues to serve Krishna. So he always utilizes time. And you see Prabhupada was like that. He always engaged all of his time in the service of Krishna. And this is the proof, or one of the symptoms, the first symptom of someone who has actually attained love of God. They don't waste time. The second quality, shanti, perseverance, remaining tolerant and patient even amid disturbance. This is the symptom of a very advanced devotee, that they persevere and they understand that, or they feel that I am not qualified to attain Krishna Prema, even though they are qualified to attain Krishna Prema, but they always feel I am not qualified to attain love of Godhead, to attain Prema Bhakti. I'm not qualified. I don't have this qualification. So that is their feeling. I am not qualified. And while they're feeling like that, while they're feeling unqualified to serve Krishna, they just continue to persevere because they think, even though I'm not qualified, I have no other shelter but Krishna. So let me persevere. Maybe one day Krishna will give me his mercy and he will take me back to Goloka. So they remain tolerant and patient. Right? They remain tolerant. They tolerate difficulties in this world. And they remain patient that eventually one day I will attain Krishna's service. Now, they do all this even amid disturbance, because in this material world, there is always disturbance. If we go to the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, we see Lord Brahma was the first person in this universe. He's the first created being. Swayambhu, self-born. Now, Lord Brahma, he is the first created being. He is the self-born person. He, in the beginning of the creation, he's sitting on the lotus flower in the universe. He's the only one in the universe. This is described in the second canto of the Bhagavatam. And he feels, I'm the only one here in this universe. There's no one else in this universe. There's only me. And he feels, I am alone. And then a cosmic wind comes. And the wind begins to shake and rattle the lotus flower that he is sitting upon. And Prabhupada points out, and it's a very traumatic experience. If anyone's been caught in high winds, right, it can be a traumatic experience. So he was feeling, this is very challenging. This is very difficult. Being stuck in this challenging situation. Prabhupada points out, even from the very beginning of this universe, there have been these kind of challenges. Right? These challenges are always there within this universe. Always there is difficulty. Always there are challenges. So we have to be tolerant and patient even amidst these kind of difficulties, even amidst all these challenges. And we just hope and pray that we will receive Krishna's mercy. The third quality is virakti. Virakti means detachment, complete indifference to the objects of sense gratification. Now, this kind of detachment is known as virakti. It is more intense than vairagya. Usually we use this word vairagya to describe detachment in this material world. Now, this is even more powerful because vairagya means we're detached from this world, but we're conscientiously trying to become detached from this world. Right? In a conscious way, we're trying to be detached. We are attached to the material world, but we're consciously trying to overcome that attachment in a mechanical type of way. Now, when someone has virakti, they are just indifferent to this material world. This is someone like Srila Prabhupada. Completely indifferent. One time, very early in our movement, like 66, like very early, Prabhupada was doing a radio interview in the Lower East Side of New York. And one of the interviewers said to Prabhupada, Swamiji, are you self-realized? And Prabhupada said, yes. And then the person said, what is the proof? And Srila Prabhupada said, I can be in a room full of naked women and not be affected, but you cannot. So he's showing us what is genuine virakti. One who has vairagya is cultivating detachment, cultivating vairagya. He would forcibly drag his mind away from that situation of being attracted to the objects of the senses. But someone like Prabhupada is just automatically indifferent. That is his potency. So this is called virakti, or complete detachment. Then there is mana shunyata, pridelessness. To feel humble even though one is extremely elevated. So this is a symptom of one who is extremely advanced in Krishna consciousness. They don't have pride. This shows that we are not extremely advanced in Krishna consciousness because we have pride. We are proud. But one who's very advanced, they don't have any pride. Right? They do not feel pride. And actually, they feel exactly the opposite. They feel pride less. They feel completely humble and completely detached from the false ego. So one who is materially conditioned, he is proud. But one who is detached, he is prideless. But it's on the deepest level. It's not a superficial thing. It's not an artificial thing. It's on the deepest level of Krishna consciousness for someone to feel like this. Then there is in regards to pridelessness, it means the person or the devotee, like Prabhupada, they're so elevated, even though it is evident to everyone that they are so qualified in their Krishna consciousness, still they feel prideless, they feel humble, they feel disqualified. So it's a very elevated state of consciousness. Ashabandha. Ashabandha, hope against hope. To possess the firm faith that Krishna will deliver one to the highest perfection, even though one feels low and utterly unqualified to achieve it on his own. So hope against hope, right? One just feels, as Narottama Das Thakur explains in Pratana, that I am the lowest, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the most merciful person. So therefore, because I am the lowest person, and he genuinely feels like that, he feels that I have the right to ask to be delivered, because I'm so disqualified. I'm so disqualified as a devotee. Therefore, my disqualification becomes my qualification. You are the most merciful person. I am the most fallen person. Please deliver me. Hope against hope. Even though it's hopeless, like we feel like we're so disqualified, but we have hope that the Lord is merciful. So that is the Ashabandha quality. Then there is Samut Kanta, intense eagerness to achieve pure loving service. So this establishes a dichotomy. Ashabandha means I am so fallen, I am disqualified. And then this quality of Samut Kanta means intense eagerness. Even though I'm unqualified, I cannot resist Krishna. I am fully attached to Krishna. Right? I have no other desire to attain anything else but Krishna. So that is the mood or the mentality, the qualification, the meditation of the devotee, the advanced devotee. This dichotomy is set up that I am the most fallen, yet I must attain Krishna's service. Right? So this dichotomy is established. Right? So it's very difficult for someone who is feeling like that It's like the tension is so intense. I am the most fallen, yet I have to attain the highest thing. So it's like this intense purification takes place where the devotee feels, because of his disqualification and because of his desire, he feels like there's a natural tension. And that tension leads him to become purified and purifies him so that he can attain love of Godhead. Then we have Nama Gane Sada Ruchi, constant attraction to chanting Hare Krishna. So this is a symptom. And we see, I was actually listening just a few days ago. Jamuna Devi, who is one of Prabhupada's original disciples, one of his first disciples, she was saying that when she was with Prabhupada, he was always chanting Hare Krishna. When there was some spare time, he would just put his hand in his bead bag and he would begin chanting. So this is a symptom of an advanced devotee. They have so much taste that they just want to chant the holy name of Krishna. They cannot stop chanting the holy name of Krishna. They always desire to chant the holy name of Krishna because of their intense taste for chanting the holy name. Asaktis tad gunakyane, addiction to glorifying Krishna's qualities. So the advanced devotee, he just wants to continuously hear about and glorify the qualities of Krishna. This is another symptom of advanced devotee. And Prabhupada was like that he would go out in the afternoon. In the middle of the afternoon, he would just stop everything, go and sit in his courtyard in Vrindavan, for example, and just ask the devotees to read Krishna book. And that was his qualification. He just had that intense desire to glorify the qualities of the Lord. This is a symptom of a very advanced devotee, a Bhava Bhakta. And the final of the 9 qualities of a Bhava Bhakta is Pritis Tad Vasati Stale, love for living in the Lord's Dham. So an advanced devotee is attached to living in Vrindavan, to living in Mayapur, to living in the holy Dham. He just wants to absorb his time and his energy to live in these holy places. He becomes attached to the holy Dham, to Mayapur, Puri, and Vrindavan. He wants to reside there. And if he cannot reside there physically, he's always residing there mentally within the mind. After listing these 9 characteristics, Srila Rupa Goswami separately defines and illustrates each one with a Shastric example. So if you go from pages 135 to 139 of the Nectar of Devotion, you will see that these qualities, there's an example for each of these qualities so that we can understand them. So you can study that in your own time. So now the topic which will be covered is ecstatic symptoms in neophytes or in non-devotees. Sometimes non-devotees may seem to exhibit signs of ecstasy. This is simply an external display of mundane emotion. Genuine ecstatic symptoms are the private domain of advanced devotees with strong and exclusive attachment for Krishna. They can never appear in people attached to sense gratification or liberation. This is from page 139 of the Nectar of Devotion. It is said by Rupa Goswami that the attachment exhibited by pure devotees for Krishna cannot possibly be perfected in the hearts of fruitive workers or mental speculators. So you can't display symptoms of love of Godhead if you do not have love of Godhead. You can display something that appears like that, and you may temporarily display a shadow of that, but it's not full-fledged prema or full-fledged bhava, emotion for Krishna. If even those who arduously execute sadhana bhakti may not attain bhava, what can be said of non-devotees? Srila Prabhupada writes, this attachment, this is page 139 of Nectar of Devotion, this attachment is very confidentially kept by Krishna and is bestowed only upon pure devotees. Even ordinary devotees cannot have such pure attachment for Krishna. Therefore, how is it possible for success to be achieved by persons whose hearts are contaminated by the actions and reactions of fruitive activities and who are entangled by various types of mental speculation? So we won't see it. We're not going to see these actual symptoms in non-devotees, in those who are not qualified. For one who's too attached to sense gratification or liberation, one cannot experience these symptoms deeply. One has to become qualified. When neophytes or non-devotees display emotions that resemble the symptoms of bhava, it is called racha bhasa, a reflection of bhava. They are of two types. There are two types of racha bhasa: pratibimba, reflective, and chaya, shadow. So we'll now hear the breakdown of these types of shadow or reflective attachment to Krishna. Someone may execute devotional service with an ulterior motive for fruitive gain or liberation. In this case, although the motive is corrupt, the practice is usually quite intense. While performing devotional activities in the association of advanced devotees, such a person may experience symptoms that resemble ecstasy because the genuine ecstasy of advanced devotees is reflecting upon the mirror of the heart. So sometimes it may happen that we're associating with a very advanced devotee, like Prabhupada, as an example, or and they are experiencing great love for Krishna. And they may be displaying ecstatic symptoms, or just by being in their association, we begin to feel something. And then it appears like it's reflected into us that we may cry or we may become overwhelmed by certain emotions. But it doesn't mean that bhava has arisen within our heart, within our consciousness. It just means by their association, something is manifested. Srila Prabhupada explains, sometimes it is found that a person actually attached to material enjoyment or salvation has the good fortune to associate with pure devotees while they are engaged in chanting the holy name of the Lord. By the good grace of the Lord, one may also cooperate and join in the chanting. At that time, simply by the association of such pure devotees, the moon-like rays from their hearts reflect on him. And by the influence of pure devotees, he may show some likeness of attachment. So once again, this is just the reflection. Right? It's the reflection of the actual feeling that one has towards Krishna. It's a reflection of the attachment that those who are actually qualified or actually have bhava or prema. It is the reflection of being in their association. So that's what's being discussed. It's not that sometimes when we cry and we're in the association of advanced devotees, it's just like some reflection of being in their association that's causing us to be like that. It doesn't mean we've attained bhava bhakti or love for Krishna. Now there's chaya, racha bhas, or shadow attachment. Sometimes a person may execute devotional service out of social, convention, or curiosity. Compared to reflective attachment, this devotional service is less intense, but the motive is not nearly as corrupt. Such people may exhibit a slight resemblance of ecstatic symptoms, especially when they join kirtan, attend festivals, visit the holy dham, or get the occasional association of saintly devotees. So sometimes it may happen that we feel something or display something, but it's just a shadow of the actual attachment of very advanced devotees. This is from page 140. Prabhupada explains, such shadow attachment or para attachment can develop if one associates with a pure devotee or visits holy places like Vrindavan or Mathura. And if an ordinary man develops such attachment for Krishna and fortunately performs devotional activities in the association of pure devotees, he can also rise to the platform of pure devotional service. So by associating with the holy dham or the Bhagavatam or the deities or the holy name or the devotees, we can sometimes manifest these ecstatic symptoms. We may cry or, sometimes it will happen, which is a good thing because it's leading towards more advanced devotional service, but it doesn't mean that we've attained the highest platform. The previous type of racha bhas, pratibimba, more intensely reflects bhava. It is like an image reflected in a mirror. However, in chaya racha bhas, the symptoms are not as clearly reflected. Rather, it is more like a shadow cast on the ground. There is only a vague resemblance of the original object. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada translates chaya racha bhas as shadow attachment and pratibimba racha bhas as reflective attachment. Prabhupada describes shadow attachment, chaya, as para, transcendental, even though it is less intense. Even though it is less intense, shadow attachment, chaya, is better than reflective attachment, pratibimba, because there is less ulterior motive. Okay, so now the discussion goes to transforming racha bhas, this shadowy attachment or reflection, into genuine bhava bhakti. The devotee's power is the only cause of both semblance and ecstasy. If one serves devotees, his imitative attachment can transform into genuine attachment. Srila Prabhupada explains, this is on page 140. If such attachment is seen manifested, even in some common man, by the association of a pure devotee, it can bring one to the perfectional stage. But such attachment for Krishna cannot be invoked in a person without his being sufficiently blessed by the association of pure devotees. So, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastri Koi, Lava Matra, Sadhu Sangye, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. Just by the association of sadhus, devotees, we can rise to an advanced state of devotional service, an advanced level of devotional service. So how do we... in other words, the only way that one can transform his imitative emotions into genuine bhava is by receiving the mercy of a pure devotee. This mercy is attained by service and blocked by offenses. If someone offends a devotee, whatever attachment has been achieved, real or imagined, will wane and disappear. So, as we know, as will be explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that the Hati Mata offense, the mad elephant offense, is to offend devotees. Because when you offend devotees, you lose your qualification to understand Krishna. Therefore, offending devotees is the most dangerous way to block or to impede your spiritual progress, your spiritual advancement. So if we do want to attain high levels of bhakti, we have to be very careful about committing offenses towards other devotees. Srila Prabhupada explains, an attachment can be invoked by the association of pure devotees. So attachment can also be extinguished by offenses committed to the lotus feet of pure devotees. To be more clear, by the association of pure devotees, attachment for Krishna can be aroused. But if one commits an offense at the lotus feet of a devotee, one's shadow attachment or para attachment can be extinguished. If the offense is very serious, then one's attachment becomes almost nil. And if the offense is not very serious, one's attachment becomes second class or third class. So, if we offend devotees, this will be the result. We will lose our taste to practice Krishna consciousness, and we will begin to fade away in our bhakti. We will begin to become more distant towards Krishna. So we have to be very careful about our attachment. We have to be very careful about not committing offenses in devotional service. The most offensive mentality is impersonalism. If we even associate with an impersonalist, a Mayavadi, our devotional ecstasy will wane until it is extinguished. Srila Prabhupada explains, if someone becomes attached to the principles of salvation or to merging into the existence of the Brahma Jyoti, his ecstasies gradually diminish into shadow and para attachment, or else transform into the principle of ahan groho pasana. So, if one becomes an impersonalist, a Mayavadi, basically his devotional service is lost. It is the greatest offense to the Lord to be a Mayavadi, to think that he is not a person. Right? This is offensive to Krishna, and it will lead one the furthest away from Krishna. The person who associates with impersonalists becomes contaminated by the notion, I am God. Prabhupada writes on page 141. It is his view that by worshipping himself, he is worshipping the Supreme Whole. Sometimes it is found that a neophyte is taking part in chanting and dancing very enthusiastically, but within himself he is under the impression that he has become the supreme whole. This offensive mentality undermines any hope for advancement to genuine bhava bhakti. So if we have any concept that we are a kami, a sense enjoyer, or a jnani, a mayavadi philosopher, then we cannot practice bhakti and we cannot attain Krishna. If a person who apparently has not undergone serious devotional practices suddenly manifests symptoms of ecstasy, we should not automatically assume that he is pretending or exhibiting one of the varieties of racha bas. His ecstasy may be genuine. If it is seen that a person, this is page 141, if it is seen that a person has developed a high standard of devotion without having undergone even the regulative principles, it is to be understood that his status of devotional service was achieved in a former life. So we may see someone comes very quickly to devotional service and advances very quickly and even may get to the platform of exhibiting or manifesting very advanced levels of bhakti, like transcendental ecstasies, the ashtika bhav, the different ecstatic symptoms. So someone that may happen, but that means that the devotee's been practicing previously. You can't just arrive at bhava bhakti in this lifetime unless you're ultra serious or extremely serious. So Prabhupada finishes by saying, if a person on the platform of bhava appears to have some fault, how should we understand it? Rupa Goswami explains that although bhava has arisen, it has not yet completely destroyed all sinful reactions. One should disregard such faults, understanding that the devotee will soon become completely perfect by the glorious force of his devotion. So we may see sometimes that some devotees, they're advanced, but there's some defect there still. That just means that they haven't fully attained prema or pure love of God. That's how exalted all of this is. Srila Prabhupada states on page 142, the example is given that on the full moon, there are some spots which may appear to be pockmarks. Still, the illumination spread by the full moon cannot be checked. Similarly, a little fault in the midst of volumes of devotional service is not at all to be counted as a fault. So, this is how Prabhupada finishes the chapter, Rupa Goswami finishes the chapter, that sometimes we may see faults in devotees, but even though we see faults, this does not lessen. It doesn't make them less. Right? It just means that they're still working on purifying or perfecting their devotional service. So we should not judge. If we see someone is lacking something, then we should not judge. So I'll stop here. Does anyone have any questions or comments on anything that we discussed tonight? So next week we will cover the final chapter of the Eastern Division of the Nectar of Devotion, chapter 19. And then after that, we'll have an overview class, and then we'll have our exams very soon. Thank you all for coming. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Jai. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
We'll see you soon.
Let's see you soon.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.